Well, we'll find out when we call roll. Plus, it's an open meeting anyways.
We are live on YouTube.
We are live. We're good to go. All right. I will call this meeting of the West Virginia State Democratic Executive Committee to order, our winter meeting, and we will begin with a moment of silence to use how you see fit. But hopefully, we keep in our thoughts and our prayers the four West Virginians who lost their lives due to the flooding down in McDowell and Mingo this week, and for all of their friends and family and everybody down there. And so, if you join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I'm going to ask the secretary to call the roll.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let me bring this up. I'm going to call the proxies first, and then I'll call roll. So if you've checked in and said here as a proxy, you won't have to say that again. Do we have Selena Vickers on for Chris Pennington? I think I saw Selena. Yeah, there, I see Selena that she's on. Teddy Grogan, proxy for Mike Trobert.
Here.
Thank you. Richie Robb, proxy for Mary Ann Clater.
Say it again. Here.
Okay. Martin Christ, proxy for Candy Sisler.
Here.
Thank you. Tammy Offit, Virginia Signs proxy.
Here.
And Matt Calderman, proxy for Ken Collinson.
Present.
Okay, thank you. All right, call the roll. Chair Pushkin.
Here.
Second Vice Chair Torseva.
Good morning. Here.
Or first Vice Chair, Second Vice Chair Sam Petzonk.
Here. Good morning.
Morning. Lissa Lucas. Jared Powell.
Here. Good morning, all.
Selena.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't get unmuted before, but I'm here. Thank you.
That's okay, thank you. Pam Tucker Klein.
Good to see some faces. Good morning, all. Here.
Brad Greer. Cody Thompson. Jenny Craig, present. Christina Basden. Nikki Lauer. Kyle Carlson.
Here.
Pam Van Horn.
Here.
Sean Hornbuckle. Thank you. Wolfel.
Here.
Thank you. Cindy Lavender Bow. Troy Miller.
Here.
Gabe Pena.
Here.
Jody. It's Dodie Dodeberger on. Okay. Ariana Islam.
Here.
Wilma Steele. Josiah Soren. James Griffin.
Here.
Ray. Ray Whiting. Natalie Klein. Kathy Link. Charles Ehlenfeld. Barb Scott.
Here.
Kim Crum. Ronald McCoy. Sunny. Oakland.
Here. Present.
Thank you. Judith Stevens,
Here.
Jerry Brookover, Simon Harkis, Bonnie Fruth, Tess Jackson, Ben Barkey,
Here.
thank you. Floyd Sayer,
Here.
Stephanie Heck, Tammy Pritt, Tim Bias, Matt Spurlock,
Here.
Deb McCarthy, Phyllis White, Robert Opsa, Marcus Wilkes, Heather Hayes, Farron Williamson, Amanda Eastep Burton, Amanda Shelton, Keith,
Keith Lottie here by audio.
who was that? I may catch
That was Keith Lottie.
Oh, okay, thank you. Christy Cardwell,
Here.
thank you. Kelly Elkins,
Good morning, here.
thank you. Robert Baker,
Here.
David Thompson, Diane Browning,
Here.
Margaret Staggers, Jamie Spencer,
I'm here.
thank you. Rachel Tompkins,
Here.
Brenda Weiss, Susan Miley, Ryan Deems, Bob Stoltz,
Here.
Linda Biefer, Joey Garcia, Mark Musick, is Mark on? Dina Armentrout, Jason Armentrout, Randy Titchnell, Dorothy Kegla,
Here.
thank you, Dorothy. Richard Rector,
Here. Here.
Richard's
Here.
here. Thank you. Charlie Streisel,
Here.
Cheryl Lawrence,
Here.
Maria Russo, Matt Halderman,
Present.
Bonnie Brown, Patty Hamilton,
Here.
Bitchy Rob,
Here.
and David Tucker. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Jenny.
Uh,
Anybody whose name wasn't called?
Kathy Link.
Okay. Kathy's here.
I think I might.
That you called, you might not have been on right at the time.
Oh, okay.
Phrase that differently. Everybody's name was called, but anybody that didn't get accounted for.
Nikki Lauer, present.
Oh, thank
Nikki's
you.
present.
I also just admitted Josiah Sorrent.
Okay.
And Senator Garcia is joining momentarily.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll change those.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody getting on this morning, and I appreciate everybody's time, and we'll try to be as efficient as possible and productive as possible this morning while we carry on. And it's also, I have to say, and I imagine I can speak for Senator Garcia and Minority Leader Wolfel, Minority Leader Hornbuckle, that it's good to see so many Democratic faces for a change after the past week and a half that we have had. So it's good to see everybody. Now, Jenny, I'd call on the secretary for the reading of the previous minutes.
Yeah, so you should have received the minutes, I believe Wednesday, and I apologize for not sending them out sooner than that. Do we want me to read the minutes or?
Are there any, did anybody have any amendments or corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes or approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second,
I
whoever.
saw Rachel Tompkins, I saw Pam Klein second.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And then
Aye.
before we begin, especially since we're on Zoom, if you are making a motion or speaking, if you could just clearly say your name and just before you start speaking, that would be really helpful so I can make sure the meeting minutes reflect that. And one of the things that, we talked about, some of the leadership talked about is after the last meeting, affording everyone that's an elected member of the executive committee the chance to speak first on an issue, raising your hand to speak and waiting to be called on by Chair Pushkin if you're speaking to an issue, and then if not, if you have something else to add, waiting until the end or waiting until that topic is brought up. That'll just help things run a little bit more smoothly and just make sure that I record all of the important points that you all make. That's all.
And thank you very much, Jenny. Before we move on to the filling of vacancies, let's make sure everybody can hear. I saw something, there was a direct message to me in the chat from somebody who couldn't hear. That's from Martin. Martin, can you hear now?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, good. Maybe we just weren't, maybe we didn't have anything to say at the time. But no, I appreciate you being on. And we are going to move on to filling of vacancies. We have several vacancies to fill, so we would entertain nominations at this time. We'll start off with the 7th Senate District. And I believe that would be for male or non-binary.
Yeah. Matt, what's his name again, Thornton?
Okay. Again, just
Spiromedius.
Thank you. Just state your name and before you, so make it easier for Jenny.
Richie Rob Spiromedius.
Okay, so you're nominating Spiromedius?
Yes.
The vacancy in the okay. Is Mr. Medius present?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, I would entertain the chair. What's that?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Say your name first, please.
I'm sorry, this is Selena. I just wanted to know there's a little bit of a technical problem with Ray Whiting and Christina Bazin. They both say that they've registered and it says that they're waiting for approval, but
No, Lena, it's all taken care of. They're in. They just didn't register until a minute ago.
okay. All right. Thank you.
They're on. Okay. Now that everybody's on. Are there further nominations for 7th Senate District, male or non-binary? Entertain a motion to close the nominations and approve Mr. Medius. Is that correct?
Medius.
Okay, to approve by acclamation. Did anyone make that motion?
Make the motion. I make the motion.
Is there a second? All right. Looks like
You just say your
Mayor
name.
Rob made. I'll make it easier on you, Jenny. I can see it. Richie Rob made the motion and Christy seconded.
Thank
Christy
you.
Cardwell. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, welcome, Spiro. He's not on yet, but I do know him. And I know good friends with his nephew actually. So congratulations, and we'll get him set up so he can attend the next meeting. 11th Senate District, male or non-binary. Any nominations? I know that there was a suggestion from Senator Garcia. Jerry, are you on here?
Yes.
Thanks. What was the name of the person that you suggested for that district?
Shoot.
We'll get him. We'll get him on here next time.
I wasn't ready for that, but yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm sorry for you on the spot there, but we do have somebody that's interested in that district, and we'll get them to go on there next time. We'll move on. If there are no nominations for that district, we'll move on to the 12th Senate District, female or non-binary.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bob Stoltz of Lewis County. I would nominate Claire Reed McKenzie to fill the vacancy.
Okay. Is Claire present?
I am. Yes, thank you.
Oh, hi, Clara. I'm sorry. Very nice to meet you. Any further nominations? I entertain a motion to close nominations for Senate District 12 female or non-binary and accept Clara by acclamation.
Pam Klein, so moved.
All right, Pam Klein's moved and heard a second.
I was going to make this is Damie Spencer. I was going to make the motion, but I'll second it.
Okay, so Pam made the motion, Damie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's it. Aye.
Sounds like you won. Clara, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their vote and trust, and I hope to be a valid part and contribute anything I can to help us.
Thank you very much. And where up there which town do you live in up there?
I'm from Lewis County, so I actually live kind of out in the country, out of holler between Lewis and Gilmer, as they say. So
Okay, you're in Lewis County?
yes, Lewis County.
Okay. Well, welcome aboard. Thank you for stepping up. And Bob, thanks for the nomination. Appreciate both of you. All right. And we will move on now to a statewide office, treasurer.
This is Troy Miller.
Go ahead, Troy.
This is Troy Miller. I will nominate John Doyle for treasurer.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Vice Chair Torseva seconded. So you get that, Troy?
Sorry.
Made the nomination. Vice Chair Torseva seconded. Okay. Are there further nominations? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion to close the nominations and accept John Doyle by acclamation. I know I'm saying it wrong. Who said that?
Judy Stevens, so moved.
Judith Stevens moved. And do we have a second?
Kelly
Elkins.
I saw Kelly Elkins first. Kelly Elkins seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations. We have a new treasurer. I sent out an email thanking our former treasurer, Nick Casey, a former party chair, for the excellent job that he did, and thanking him for his service here. But I'm really excited. We have a former delegate, a former colleague of mine, and also a very qualified individual as the former deputy secretary of revenue, John Doyle. John, would you want to say a few words?
Yes. Mostly I want to say thank you to all of you. Yeah, I got some big shoes to fill. Nick Casey did a marvelous job for our party for many, many years as treasurer, as chair, and in a number of other ways. And so I will do my very best to fill those shoes. I've always regarded myself as a liberal with green eye shades, green eye shades. Remember, some of you who are as old as I am will remember bankers used to wear those things when they were looking at all the numbers. And I'm experienced at looking at all the numbers, and that's what I shall do. So anybody that has any questions for me that they'd like to ask, I'm happy to do that now, or at some point in the future, if you want to call me on the phone or send me an email, that's fine. So, but that's it. And I look forward to getting to work. Thank you all.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate you stepping up, and I know you're going to do an excellent job and be very accessible and transparent. But
absolutely
for the committee. So thank you very much, John. We're going to move on to new business. And Ryan, are you ready to roll the video?
Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get it to go.
Okay, as I'm sure many of you have heard, with the DNC held its winter meetings and an organizational meeting, or sorry, reorg in early February, and we elected a whole new slate of officers at the DNC. We're going to play a quick the remarks from our new DNC chair, Ken Martin, in case anybody missed that.
Are you seeing the video right now?
Yeah, I see the video. It's paused.
Let me just start by saying we have one team. One team. That's right. The Democratic Party. We have one fight. We have one fight. The fight's not in here. The fight's out there, right? The fight's not in here. The fight is for our values. The fight is for working people. The fight right now is against Donald Trump and the billionaires who bought this country. That's the fight, not in here. I want to thank all of you. Thank you to the DNC members who have put their faith in my vision for our party. I am honored and humbled for every one of you who supported me. To our friends, our volunteers, our staff, and everybody on Team Ken who's with us here or back in Minnesota, we couldn't have done this without all of you. To everyone I've worked with in my and our ASDC family these last 8 years, thank you. To the state party chairs, vice chairs, executive directors, thank you. To all of the candidates who put themselves out there these past few months, I know how much they worked on this. As I said from the beginning, I'm not running against them any more than they were running against us. And it is my guarantee to each of you that we're going to take the great ideas from all the candidates in this race. We're going to bring them into this great party. We're going to unify this party together, and we're all going to roll up our sleeves together to build this party. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Chairman Wickler. Thank you to Governor O'Malley. Thank you to all of the candidates, Marianne Williamson, Nate Snyder, Dr. Hathaway, James Skoufis, Jason Paul, every candidate who ran. Thank you for bringing your whole self to this. We need you in this work. And look, thank you to my family, to my son Sam, who's with me right here, to my wife Jen, to all of these folks up here who worked so hard for me. Now look, it's time for our party to do three things. First is to unite. We have to rebuild our coalition. We have to ignore the noise. We have to focus with intensity on the goal ahead, which is winning elections to improve people's lives. Right. Second, we need to go on offense. Trump's first weeks have shown us that what happens when amateur hour meets demolition derby, right? And at the same time, he's invited all these billionaires into the Oval Office to mine, extract, and profit off of our government. This is our time. Right now, it's the people's government. It's not another resource for ultra elites to exploit. Lastly, and the third is we're going to take tonight to enjoy the moment, and we're going to build new alliances, but then we're going to get to work. We're going to get to work. We're going to fight. We're going to go out there and take this fight to Donald Trump and the Republicans, and we're going to fight for working people again in this party. Thank you, Democrats. Thank you so much. It's the honor of my life.
Nope, I had a hard time unmuting. Thanks for playing that, Ryan. I think the real point there was the last part of that, with Chair Martin's call for unity and the fact that he is hitting the ground running. I personally can't think of a better person for the job for this time, as Ken Martin, as some of you know, has been the president of the Association of State Democratic Committees. So we've been working with him for quite some time. He supported the plan that was put forth by the ASDC, which will mean a more active role for state parties, which is great for us, especially in red states like this. And also, we elected a whole slate of officers, and as the new president of the ASDC is oh my God, I'm having a total meltdown here. Jane, sorry, Jane. Yeah, Jane Klebb, who many of y'all know, she came to Charleston last year. She's the chair of Nebraska, and she's was elected to take Ken's position, foreign position with the president of ASDC. We also have a great relationship with her, and she already has a relationship with West Virginia since she came here to speak at the Federation conference that was in Charleston this past summer. At this point, though, I'm going to hand it over to Selena to give a brief update from the DNC.
Guys, thank you all, and thanks for playing that that video, Mike. That was a very, very long day. The thing that I really wanted to underscore about what happened over the last actually couple months related to the DNC is that sometimes, especially, I know that there's a lot of reformers that are on our executive committee, and we talk a lot about reform, and we talk a lot about small d democracy. And what I saw in the DNC over the last couple months was such an amazing example of small d democracy. And so what that looked like was, some of you have been around and know, but some may not. Whenever we have a president that is a Democrat, that president basically picks the leadership staff of the DNC, kind of like they get to pick their own, secretary of departments and all that sort of thing. And where the Senate would, basically, ratify that decision, the DNC would ratify that decision. So without, obviously we would have preferred to have drastically preferred to have won the election. What happened was, as soon as we realized that Trump was going to be president, there was an open call basically for who was going to run the DNC and be the officers. And so what happened was there was a lot of people who expressed interest. We had, I believe, 8 people who ran for DNC chair, and there is a vice chair of voter and civic engagement, and then there's 3 other vice chairs at large. Basically, they're to make sure that there is equity, gender equity. And altogether, I think there were maybe 16 people who ran for the at-large positions, and maybe another 6 or 8 for the civic engagement one. We had 2 people run for treasurer. No, 3 people ran for treasurer. 2 people run for finance chair. 2 people run for secretary. I mean, it was, and these were like regular people. Some of them were already DNC members, but some of them were just like regular people who wanted to be involved and really had this vision of where they wanted to see the DNC go. And they, created websites, and they created, a plan, and they got a list of all that. There's like 448 members, and they called people and really had to work for the votes, and and say, I promise this is what I'm going to do. I mean, that doesn't typically happen. And Ken Martin and Ben Wickler were the kind of like the 2 that people who are running for chair that it was very obvious early on that it was going to be one of those two. And there were a lot of endorsements that came out on both sides, from very, very good people and very powerful people. And it was just, and then on top of that, they had different forums. The DNC itself hosted 4 different forums. 2 of them were virtual and 2 of them were live, but even the live ones had a virtual option. We were able to submit questions that people asked. And anyway, like I said, it was a really great example of small d democracy. And these candidates had to, make promises and say, this is where I stand and this is what I want to do. Sam was really great in terms of trying to negotiate some things and trying to get a little bit more for West Virginia and that sort of thing. But it was really an incredible thing to see. The other thing that was really incredible that almost like took my breath was on the day that we voted. And let me tell you, it was a very long day. I think we started around 9 and ended up around 10:30 at night. And there were, lots of speeches and lots of voting, lots of ballots. Everybody had to get a majority, that sort of thing. But when Jamie Harrison gave his speech, because he was one of those people that was handpicked, he was handpicked by Biden. But everybody knows that, even though he was in that position and he had all that responsibility, like all the major calls came from the White House. And he told us in that meeting that he wanted us to look at moving forward in a way that the chairperson is not necessarily completely beholden to the White House, and that and would be more independent. And he has said in interviews and has said in other public meetings that he felt that he could have been a much stronger chair if he had not been so leashed by the White House. And so that was, I believe, a little bit of a charge to us to, have, more independence than a typical DNC would. So I am very much, and the thing in terms of negotiation that I think it was partially on Ken Martin's. I know that it was partially on Ken Martin's list of to-dos anyway, but Sam and I talked to him a lot about the way that the at-large members get on to the committee, at the full committee, and also how people get on the smaller subcommittees, which are, sounds very in the weeds, but is very, very critical. And so he made a commitment to, the chair would typically be able to appoint 75 at-large members, and then also appoint all of the members of the working committees. And so he made a commitment to allow the full DNC and the caucuses and councils to be able to nominate/elect some of those members. Not nearly enough, in my opinion, but it is definitely a foot in the door for the DNC membership as a whole to have more input into the inner workings of the DNC. So we have that to look forward to. Our next meeting will be in the fall. In the meantime, Ken is on a tour. The theme of the tour is organizing everywhere. And he is going to red states, he's going to blue states, he's going to purple states, he's raising money, he's talking to labor, he's talking to everybody. And he's saying, we, the Democratic Party, have to do more for working people, and we're going to show up for you. We're going to listen to you, and what we're going, the efforts that we're going to do, it's definitely going to be for you. So I'm very excited about how the next 4 years are going to go, and I think that you're just going to see a different DNC than we have seen in the past. So Sam and Teresa and Mike and I will all, keep people informed of, things that are going on that we think you should know about. But I think that we should all, one other thing, Ken also arranged a meeting the other day with all the DNC members. It was all virtual, but with the Senate leader, Chuck Schumer. He gave us sort of like their plan, which I think I'd like Sam to talk about, because I was on the phone and busy and at the same time listening and did not take good notes. And I think Sam did a better job of that. But he basically gave us the plan of the Senate and encouraged us to use their talking points, and said that he would be sending us out a 2-pager and ask us to do some specific things. And we will be, passing on that information to you as well. But we have a lot of work to do. And I think this DNC is certainly ready to do that work. So thank you.
Thank you, Selena. And I'll just say it again, I'm incredibly pleased with the way that the elections went, or the DNC elections. Of course, we couldn't have a better chair for this point in time than Ken Martin. He knows exactly what to do, and he's hit the ground running already. He is a real true organizer. Came up through the Wellstone School of Organizing from up there in Minnesota, and it's going to be very hands-on, and I'm very excited about, and also about Jane's election at the ASDC. She's perfect for that job as well. And I have to say that West Virginia, for the first time I can remember, we were seated front row center for that election, which was odd to be front row center. Makes it hard to get up and go to the facilities in the middle of a speech, but it was an honor to be front row and center for the DNC for a historic moment. And we're going to move on to a strategic planning update. I'm calling the Second Vice Chair Petsong for an update on strategic planning.
Thank you all. I have to say, I am just thrilled also to be here with everyone. This is there couldn't be anything more important for us to do with our Saturday morning at this juncture in history than participating in the democratic process. And I love you, each and every one of you, for being here and doing this work. It is on the point that Selena made about Schumer. Schumer is, I think it ties into the Ken Martin's message as well. I think historical events have really imposed a sort of uniformity of purpose on our party right now, which is basically blocking the billionaires from taking over our government and pounding public funds and treating, the U.S. Treasury like a private slush fund, and to support their favorite businesses. That's pretty much the message that Schumer was giving to us: blocking the billionaires. That is what the U.S. Senate is engaged in doing. And specifically right now, if you're following the Senate, they asked us to follow the budget reconciliation process. For those of you who know about budget reconciliation, it's kind of setting the goalposts for budgeting in the upcoming year. And obviously, the Senate has the power of the purse, and the Appropriations Committee will make the decisions that it ultimately makes. But budget reconciliation is the process where you set basically the goalposts. That's how I always think about it. And so the Senate will be taking a whole series of votes about blocking the billionaires and sending messages with these votes over the coming couple of weeks here about what the Congress, what are the boundaries that the Congress will seek to impose on this administration when it comes to public budgeting. So please watch those votes. Schumer's trying to put up votes saying, if you cut Medicaid, you can't cut taxes on billionaires. Things like that. But it all comes back to this basic point: blocking the billionaires. And that is basically our challenge as a society right now. So how does that tie into our strategic planning process here in West Virginia? We did, like Selena said, we have achieved some major specific victories with the DNC elections. I don't want to get into the weeds of it either, but Ken Martin agreed to adopt verbatim the proportionality principles, the affirmative and geographic distributional principles that we developed in West Virginia that we piloted in some other reforming states. We exchanged a lot of emails with him. It shows us that our planning process here in West Virginia really matters, and the National Party has now adopted the proportionality principles that we drafted to make sure that our committee reflects the general electorate that comes out to vote for president, so that our party more closely reflects the demographics and the regional diversity of the people who ultimately make decisions in general elections. That's a very important type of structural accountability. So our strategic planning process matters because it's another chance for our party in West Virginia to set some norms and define some best practices that hopefully will continue to percolate out across the nation and drive better results for the democracy. So back in January, we sent an email to everybody with the strategic planning process, basically 3 steps to know about. You folks are aware we have, over the past year and a half, we've developed 3 working groups within the state executive committee. Fundraising, candidate recruitment and support, and communications. So Ryan, I think, is going to share in the chat. If you're not participating in one of the working groups right now, please, the strategic planning process is a great time for you to join and become involved in these working groups. These are the groups that actually do the work of the state executive committee. This is a working committee, and those are the 3 key jobs that we do. Step 1 of the strategic planning process is gathering input and feedback. That's the phase that we're in now. Please join a working group, engage with that working group, provide feedback in the arenas that you know about and have been involved in. We're going to do that over the next couple of months. Stage 2, at the spring West Virginia Executive Committee meeting, we'll have report backs from those 3 working groups on the feedback and discussions and the preliminary goals and outlines that they have developed for our state strategic plan. We'll get the chance to talk about that feedback in the spring at this group. And then we will, between the spring and the summer meeting, those working groups will collaborate to develop a formal written strategic plan, which they will present in writing in advance of the summer meeting. And the goal is to adopt that written strategic plan by that midsummer meeting and begin implementing it immediately. And the contours of the plan are already coming into shape. The goal is blocking the billionaires. We're going to do it by stepping up our communications functions. We're already doing that. You'll see that during the legislative session. The legislative caucus is very engaged in building, our communications program. Last year, Evan Hansen and others were really engaged with the party in providing regular updates to our communications group, developing some norms around how we communicate internally. You'll see more of that. It is going to become sort of institutionalized in this strategic plan so that there's a working plan in place. And these elections cycle over. None of us is going to be on this committee forever. We hope we will leave a real legacy in terms of a strategic plan, some operating direction, and some attainable norms where we're all volunteers. But this strategic plan recognizes in a democracy of volunteers, you have to have both impactful and attainable operating goals. And that's what you'll see in this plan, things that we can do, and that the things that will have an impact on sustaining candidate recruitment, supporting our candidates, clearly communicating our goals and vision to the state of West Virginia, and of course, sustaining the funds to support those efforts. So that's the strategic planning process. Step 1, initial formation of the working groups, which we're doing now. Step 2, we will have the feedback session in the spring. And step 3, we'll have a final written plan by summertime. And we're really already doing this work. I look forward to seeing you all in the process. And we will have, I would like to have at least one in-person meeting for each of the working groups, if at all possible. Zoom may suffice, but I would like to be together with people, and I'd encourage the members of the working groups to try to organize yourselves to have a sit-down session, maybe at Flatwoods or something in the spring, if you can, just to kind of workshop the practicalities of how these strategic goals and objectives will play out, and also to build culture around this group. One of the most important things that we have done over the last 2 years, I think, is we've created not only the working groups, but also the caucus groups so that we have peer groups where we develop and build culture amongst people who we share, our demographic or age related or other. We're building these affinity groups within the Democratic Party where we can help flex our muscles together, and we build community and we build compassion. And I think building compassion for our fellow man, in a way that leverages actual outcomes and tangible improvements in life. That's what this whole party's about. So I like the idea of getting together in person. Hopefully we can do that as a part of the strategic planning process. So I don't mean to go on too long. I thank you all for what you're doing. We're living in a heck of an historic moment, and keep it up. Thank you. If you have any questions about it, please, yeah, I'm glad to answer questions offline, or if somebody has a pressing question.
We just lost you. Where'd Sam go? Hey, well, thank him in his absence. Thanks, Sam, for heading up that incredibly important role, and it's going to take some time to get it right. But it's important that we do have strategic planning so to leave something solid for those that follow us on this committee. And I think those that do follow us on this committee, because of what's going on nationally and in the state, are going to see some real growth in the party in this state. But I also wanted to add, I think it's a good time to add, because it kind of falls into strategic planning, that I briefly want to thank Matt Halterman, who will be working with on the resolutions committee. The resolutions committee has a lot of great ideas that we were not able to get to, some just because of time, and some because they might have been a bit, maybe too, in our opinion, too prescriptive for a resolution, but might fit in better with strategic planning. Regardless of that, it's our intention to have a meeting of the resolution subcommittee in March, where we can give more time to each of the resolutions that have not been taken up, and see which ones we can pass, which ones we can work into the strategic plan. They're all good ideas, and they all need to be addressed. I just wanted to let, before I even get into my report, that it is our full intention to have a meeting of the resolution subcommittee in March. So I'll be contacting the members of that committee soon to set up a time, and we will give each of those ideas their fair amount of allotted time and consideration. With that, I'm going to move into, the County Chairs Association did have an organizational meeting earlier this month, I believe, and I'd like to congratulate the new president of the County Chairs Association, Cal Carlson. Cal, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Chair Carlson, would you like to give a brief report on the County Chairs Association, and congratulations?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thank you, Chair Pushkin. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cal Carlson. I'm the chair of the Monongalia County Democratic Party, and I was elected at the end of January to be the new chair of the County Chairs Association. I'm really grateful to be in this position and help work with the party. I've been, just this past month since taking the role, I've kind of been on a virtual listening tour. I'm trying to hit as many county committees as I can throughout the month, just to try to learn about what's going on and how I can best assist the counties. And we also have a meeting upcoming this week, just as part of our monthly meetings. But anything I can do to assist the counties at the county level, I know we're getting bombarded at the national level, we're getting bombarded at the state level, but anything that we can do to really build up, our foundation at the county level, I'm here for it. I'm in for the long haul. I'm a young person. I'm 28 years old. I'm staying in West Virginia. I'm not going to be kicked out by, any sort of administration. I want to stay here and fight. And this is one of the ways that I really want to help our state and our party succeed. So I thank you all. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me.
Woohoo! Yeah, congratulations again. Thank you, Cal, for stepping up. And I know that you've already done a great job just in a few short weeks that you've been there. I also want to thank Tammy Offit, the outgoing chair of the County Chairs Association, and everybody else in that organization that's been doing a good job. We really look forward to working, hand in hand with the County Chairs Association, able to get information on the ground to each of our counties, and to help. I'm sure Ryan will talk about this, rebuilding some of the county committees where we need more participation. So thank you again, Cal. I'll move on to a legislative update, and our minority leader, Wolfel or Hornbuckle, still on the call? Okay, Senator Garcia, you still on the call?
Mike, I'm on the call, but my phone's about to die.
Your phone's about to die? You have enough juice in there to give us a quick 2-minute update?
Yeah. So, first of all, appreciate all of you all being on the call today, and appreciate what I've seen is a heightened sense of urgency and just engagement. And so I will tell you on behalf of our House Democratic Caucus, we truly appreciate that and thank you. Obviously, we've seen a lot of things come at us, not as fast as the Senate, but we have seen those things such as Trump Mountain, which is atrocious. We have seen those things as far as trying to abolish PEIA, which is horrendous, and a litany of other things. I mean, we just had the other introduction of the bill, I believe from Delegate White, that's going to aim to remove the exemptions for rape and incest from the already terrible abortion ban that we have in West Virginia. And so that's where we're at right now. There's some other things moving in the committees, and if there's any other delegate on the call, they can do that. But period, what we're doing, we're emphasizing priorities in the state of West Virginia. And so we are worried about your electric bill. First and foremost, we're worried about child care. We're worried about protecting women. We're worried about how do we help people right now with flood resiliency. And so those are the things that we are making a stark contrast in our party and what we're doing. And again, it's all about priorities. We're not getting in the weed of all these stupid things that divide us. We want to make sure that we're able to help average West Virginians to be able to put food on the table and be able to live with integrity. So that's where we're at right now. We're also this week, we're coming out with a presser. So we'll have a press conference Monday afternoon at some point. Again, letting the state know where we're at and what we're prioritizing. Also, towards the last year in the fall, I huddled up with the caucus and made the move to hire a communication specialist. We hired someone. She is working beautifully thus far and making sure that our footprint is spreading across the state. Again, just communicating and doing those things. So some of you all might be on our Substack and getting emails and newsletters and just trying to keep everybody in the loop. But again, just super appreciate everybody, the engagement at levels that I haven't seen personally. And we would just want to keep that momentum going. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Minority Leader Hornbuckle. And I'll just say, as somebody who's a member of Sean's caucus, that he is doing a tremendous job, as well as Delegate Young, Delegate Fluharty, Delegate Hanson. Everybody on the caucus has really been working very well together and out messaging the other side. And of course, in the House we have 9 votes. In the Senate we have 2 votes. We will lose a lot of votes, but we're going to win every single argument because we're on the right side. We're on the right side of history. And if you look at the messaging coming from the Democrats in the legislature, it's out there. It's there's active on social media, on traditional media. Our message is out there. If you look at the other side, there's nothing, because they have absolutely nothing to talk about. They have absolutely nothing to talk about, and really the only messengers for the Republican Party right now are Donald Trump and Elon Musk. There's nothing on a state level coming from them. If you look at their social media, at their traditional media, they have absolutely nothing to talk about, and it shows. So thank you again, Sean. Senator Garcia, you want to add, since Minority Leader Wolfel had to step up, you want to give a brief update from the Senate, which is now the crazier of the 2 houses, unfortunately, but go ahead.
Yeah, can you believe that? No, it's been like today's day 11, and my first 10 days in committee, I'm on education, health, and judiciary. And it's like every day we have an amazingly bad bill that we've had to deal with. And so, I mean, we just finished debating yesterday on immunizations for children to try to prevent polio and measles from coming back to the state of West Virginia. And I've felt a groundswell of people, and again, many people who are on this call that have been, they've been putting out stuff, they've been sharing legislative votes, they've been engaging, liking, sharing all those types of things. And again, like Mike and like Sean said, I think we're all trying to do a better job. You never think you get into politics and you're going to have to try to create content. But honestly, we have to educate, we have to communicate in a way that is getting people's attention. And I think everybody's focused on that this year. And the content's easy because it's just craziness every single day, attacking persons with gender dysmorphia, who are at risk of suicide. That was another thing. Saying that you can't talk about sexual orientation in schools. It's just a different social issue every single day, but they're not hitting foster care. They're not hitting anything about child care. They're not doing anything pocketbooks or education. So I appreciate everybody who is working and who's being active. And I think this is now the time to call on people to get engaged with their local executive committees, to think about running for office and starting to figure out how we get a team of people this summer. And so I think those are things that, from the caucus standpoint, we're going to keep fighting, and we're happy to engage. I know with my county chairs, we've played some phone tag this week, but there's a tremendous opportunity to get people right now engaged in what's going on and get them excited about being a part of the future.
Thank you, Senator Garcia. And y'all are doing yeoman's work over there in the Senate with the two of you up against all that insanity. But let's see, the vote on the vaccine bill, on the childhood immunization bill was what, 20-12, which means definitely the lunatics are running the asylum over there, unfortunately. But also from Republican pollsters, what we got this week was that bill has about 5% support in West Virginia. And that is the first bill that's come out of the Senate. That was their number one priority, something that has support from 5% of the people of West Virginia. So, we just got to keep doing what we're going to do, and they're going to pass the ball right back to us. Anyway, I appreciate you, Joey. And let's see what we have next on the, okay, I'm going to give a brief update on the House District 91, which of course the party filed a petition against the governor regarding how that vacancy was filled in House District 91 in South Berkeley County. As you know, leading up to the session, the elected Republican delegate there was told that he was told that the caucus was going to expel him. He switched to Democrat before he got in trouble that day, and was placed on home confinement. And you can't make this stuff up, folks. It's a crazy story. But so he switched parties, which years ago, back when Daniel Hall switched parties and handed the Senate to the Republicans, there was a Supreme Court case over it, and unfortunately, our party lost that case. And I think the court ruled wrongly in saying that it should go to the party that the subject of the vacancy was immediately prior to the vacancy. So when Daniel Hall switched to Republican, that seat went to the Republicans, and then they codified it in 2018. The Republicans in the legislature codified that in 2018. So it is our opinion that if you make bad laws, you should have to live by them. And more important than that, though, and the reason we are going to follow up with this case, and where we are right now is we're waiting for the Supreme Court to give us a scheduling order. We wish they would have done it sooner, but we can't control that. But we're going to stay on this because what's the most important thing about this is the way the vacancy was created was illegal. You cannot just pass a resolution with a simple majority and declare a seat vacant. That sets a horrible precedent. If they are able to do that, then who knows what they could do in the future if they simply don't like the results of an election. They could just have a simple majority declare a vacancy. If you want to expel a member, you need to expel the member, not just to have a vote with no due process where 51% of the body votes to create a vacancy. There is no precedent for that. They claim that there is none. We went back through the journal from whichever year it was where they had the issue with Delegate Ron Thompson, and that's not how it played out. He wound up resigning. Anyway, but that's where we are. Long story short is we're waiting on the Supreme Court to give us a date. We have a great attorney in Bob Bastris, a WVU law professor, who has stepped up to help the party and is doing a great job. And we feel that the rule of law is worth fighting for, and especially to those who are tasked with making laws should be required to follow them at least. So that's where we are with that. I'm going to turn it over to our executive director to go over the upcoming schedule for this body, for the West Virginia State Democratic Executive Committee for the 2025 year. Ryan?
Thank you, Chair Pushkin.
There you
Just a quick update on our planning. So as we've been working on strategic planning and professionalizing the organization, we feel that it's important that we start to schedule our meetings out so that we don't have to have surprise notices. So the intention right now is to host, and these are still tentative dates, but we're going to move forward with planning around these dates. So to have a spring meeting, April 26th, and all of this information will be shared, of course, but for the announcement, spring meeting, April 26th, that meeting will specifically be and intentionally not be in Charleston. It will be in a host county. I will be working with Chair Carlson and all of the county chairs on a project to receive submissions to host. So we'll talk about that at the County Chairs Association meeting next week. The next meeting will be a Zoom meeting. The summer meeting will be on June 28th. That'll be a Zoom only meeting, just like this one. And then a meeting in Charleston for the fall. October 4th is the current tentative date. So that's 10/4. And I'll pass back to Chair Pushkin.
Thank you, Ryan. And we'll share all that with everybody so everybody can plan accordingly. I think it's important for us to have our schedule that far in advance so people know when and where they're supposed to be and plan other things around that. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to move on to unfinished business, which we'll start with my report, and I'm going to toss out all notes as I'm going to do and just talk. I would say I'll start off with one of very common quote. One of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou said, "When I'm probably going to mangle the quote, but when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time." We did. Those of us on this call and good Democrats, we did believe Donald Trump the first time when he showed America exactly who he was. And now, unfortunately, we have a second term where he's showing us again exactly who he was. What they're all about, and it shows in this budget reconciliation package that they're passing, that they're trying to pass. It's all about tax cuts for billionaires and large corporations. But that's not what they run on, but that's what they're about. They're about packing the courts with judges who are going to rule against the rights of working people. And they're about stripping away all types of safeguards and regulations that keep our water clean, our air safe to breathe, and people safe in general. That's what they're all about. But they're flooding the zone with distractions, and it's important for us to stay focused on what really matters and the real harm that they are doing. And I don't believe it's what people voted for. I think people voted mainly because of the economy. They voted because of inflation, and there's been absolutely nothing done to combat the cost of living or inflation. Instead, what they're getting are these dog whistle racist executive orders. They're getting Elon Musk wielding a freaking chainsaw and with access to the U.S. Treasury and laying off uh, workers in the federal government left and right, and that's having a real effect on West Virginians as well. On our For our part, what we have done, as well as many other statements and press releases that we put out. One that definitely uh, got some traction. We called upon uh, Governor Morrissey to come up with a plan for all these laid off federal workers we're going to have in West Virginia. These are West Virginians. They have careers and families and children, and there's all sorts of ancillary businesses that support these folks as well. They're going to be hurt. And we called upon Governor Morrissey to put together some sort of task force to do something about all these displaced workers that are being laid off because of the work of Elon Musk and his little band of prepubescent computer guys that are in there like going through the federal government with their chainsaw. Also, it's important to note that a president who was so popular in West Virginia, got 70% of the vote, has not responded to Governor Morrissey's call for a declaration of a state of emergency in Mingo and McDowell County. Sorry, that's to me, just unfathomable. The day after this flood, instead of even mentioning what's going on in West Virginia or parts of Kentucky, the president was doing laps around the Daytona 500 track. And for somebody that was elected by such a large margin in this state, he's completely ignored the state, and we need to continue to call that out. That he's showing us who he is, and we need to believe him. On a state level, Republicans are just handing us so much to work with, whether it's renaming Spruce Knob, the proposal to rename Spruce Knob after Donald Trump. Minority Leader Hornbuckle talked a bit earlier about a bill to remove the exemptions for victims of rape and incest from the abortion ban. They want to bring back corporal punishment, another one of their bills they're bringing back, and a bill that's moving, we talked about earlier, was removing childhood or gutting our public health laws in regards to childhood immunization, which, like I said before, polls at about 5%. So they're handing all these issues right back to us, and they have absolutely nothing. There's been silence on their end on really getting out in front of any of these things, and they might say that these bills are coming from the back bench. Don't pay any attention to that. However, the majority leader in the House, Pat McGeehan, is on most of the craziest pieces of legislation. So those are leadership bills. It's not coming from the backbench. This is who they are. So we need to believe them, and we need to fight back. And I'm going to get to the point of this really is that I know that you've sensed it, and I've sensed it as well. There's some real buyer's remorse going on, even in states like West Virginia, over what's going on with the current state of the Republican Party. And I know in your areas, and especially down here in Charleston, I've been able to attend some of these like impromptu pop-up rallies where there has been very little organization. There's not really, I don't know what organizations are responsible for these rallies, but what's important are people are showing up because they're ticked off and they want to fight back and they want their voices heard and they want to know that they're not alone. And it's my opinion, with a little bit of organization, actually with a lot of organization and some time to plan it, we could be involved with this and have quite a showing down here in Charleston. Say a Saturday towards the end of the session when the legislature is actually in and working. Generally, towards the end of the session, the legislature works on Saturdays. So I just want to know if there was any buy-in from the executive committee And if there'd be a few members who'd be willing to step up and serve on a subcommittee to get together in the near future and start talking about us holding a rally in response to some of these crazy proposals that are being put forth by the Republicans here in West Virginia, and a way for people to show up and fight back and have their voices heard and show some real numbers at the state capitol. So I guess by a show of hands, we have any interest in that? I'll see a few hands. People who have their cameras on. Well, go ahead, turn your mics on
I'm
for a second.
absolutely interested. I can't get my
Selena,
hands raised.
hold on. Let me call on people so we can have a little bit. Selena has her hand up. Oh, that was a show of, I said a show of hands to see who would support it. I'll go ahead and open it up though for a brief discussion on this, because I want to make sure we're not just moving forward. We're not moving forward without the will of this committee. But I want to hear from you on your ideas on this, and we can definitely get together, work on it, and make it happen. So does anybody, Claire, did you want to be recognized, or are we just showing support for the idea?
Just showing support for the idea. I think it would be an excellent idea for us to get out and be seen physically.
Mike?
Okay. Yes, Rachel Tompkins.
Yeah, Rachel Tompkins. Two thoughts on that. One, I think that's a good idea, but I also think if any of the congressional delegation are having meetings, town halls, or any meetings anywhere, we need to be sure we're showing up at those to sort of push back on them.
Yes.
And if they don't hold any meetings, maybe we need to call a meeting somewhere and invite them to come. But we need to, any of these ways of pushing back and organizing groups of people to push back seem to me like a good thing to do.
Okay, I agree with you 100%. I would not hold my breath waiting on our Republican delegations to hold town halls. I remember back when we had 3 districts here, and this part of the state was represented by Alex Mooney. He did not hold town halls. I can't remember the last time Carol Miller's ever spoke without a script in her entire career. Maybe Riley Moore will hold a town hall, but I wouldn't wait on it. Also, I would think if we as the state Democratic Party call for a town hall, they're very unlikely to respond to that. I think it has to come from that, in my opinion, that would have to come from the people. What we can do is have an actual organized show of numbers at the state capitol, and preferably for early April. But I agree 100%. If and when they hold a town hall, it should be packed. And I've seen the video footage of town halls in other red districts across the country where people are showing up and they're ticked off. I'm going to read, share info on a Riley Moore meeting in Morgantown. There's a Riley Moore meeting in Morgantown on February 27th. We will share that information and make sure people know about it. So he is having a meeting, and so good for him. He is having a meeting, but let's get people out there. Any other thoughts on this event, whether we go through, follow through or not? One other thing, I think with what's going on a national level and on the state level, I think it's a real opportunity for us to recruit candidates. I think the goal has to be, and I know it's a lofty goal, and we're not going to, fill 100% of the ballot, but that has to be the goal, is to fill every spot. That's got to be our goal. And we got to work with our county committees and other organizations to find people that are willing to step up and run. I think people are at that point right now where they're ticked off enough to do that. We're hearing from a lot of people, but this event could also be used as a recruitment tool. We can, use it to gather, information, and we could even host a candidate training earlier that day, or either before or after the event if we have people down here in Charleston. That's just an idea. Once again, I'm opening up briefly for questions. I want to move on with the rest of the agenda, but anybody else have any thoughts on that? Dottie.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that Alex Mooney
or somebody from his office calls and has like a spot town hall meeting by phone. And if you're there, I guess you can join the town hall. And if you're not, you're out of luck. And I wonder if there's some way to massage that, and maybe when that's done, have some way that we can get a whole bunch of people to join the call. I'm not smart enough to figure out how. That's my comment.
Yeah, he did. I lived in his district for a while too, and that's what he was known for. He didn't have in-person town halls. He had teletown halls so he could control who spoke. And that's the problem. We can get people on, but they might not get, usually those teletown halls, from what I've seen, are fairly scripted and are easily controlled. And that's why he did it. But you're right. No, we should flood those calls in if Carol Miller holds a teletown hall, which she's more likely to do that than have an in-person one. And I'm glad to see that Congressman Riley Moore is having one, but we'll definitely get the information out and we'll work with the Mon County Democrats as well on getting people to that event and have their voices heard and their numbers shown. But with that, I just wanted to get that out. I want to, I want to work with everybody on this. I think that, in my opinion, if somebody has a Facebook post we don't know the organization that's promoting it, nobody knows anything about it, but they're just saying show up at the Capitol at noon on a weekday, and there's a couple hundred people out there at the Capitol. With a little bit of effort, a little bit of organization, and do it on a Saturday, we can get a lot of people out there and have a real show of numbers and I think it's important to do. All right, I'm going to move on. Teresa, you have a vice chair's report.
Thank you, Chair Pushkin. And I'll quickly say to your last comment that I think it's more important than ever that we as a party be seen as organizing these citizen uprisings and protests. A lot of people reached out to me, not sure if they could trust because they didn't know what organization were backing some of the protests. Everything worked out great, but to your point of how easy it's going to be. People are ready. To quote some of the comments I heard today, there's a heightened sense of urgency, engagement levels not previously seen. We're all seeing that and feeling that. So I'll participate, help, and also I think it's important that we have these protests around the state, not just in Charleston, because people can come to Wheeling, but they can't get all the way to Charleston, or they can get to Morgantown, or they can get somewhere in the Eastern Panhandle. So I'm glad to see you doing that, Chair Pushkin, and I'll do whatever I can to support it. I have a few comments, some of them random, but they collectively address a lot of what we've been doing and also what has already been talked about in this meeting. First of all, I want to say, and this is just purely personal, not logical or emotional. I guess it is emotional, not logical. Our work is never more important than when it's bad and when we lose as a party, when Democrats are down, when Trump is in the White House, when we have a supermajority and we have what we have in terms of West Virginia government leadership, which is as bad. It's worse actually than most of us could have imagined, even though we've been sounding the alarm. Our work is never more important, and our opportunities as a party to organize are never going to be more prolific. People are rising up. There is not just remorse from Trump supporters, which we see and maybe enjoy, but not too long. But all kidding aside, there's remorse from the people that stood on the sidelines. Those are the folks we're talking to. Those are the folks that we're going to bring into our team. So I think it's really, really important for us to remember that. I want to say thank you to everybody on this call, to Cal Carlson for stepping up and leading and making the comment that got my blood flowing today, which is I'm here to fight. I am part of the resistance too. And no matter how bad it gets, I'm always going to stand for what's right and what I believe in. And those are the things I'm fighting for. You all inspire me, from Berkeley County, where I'm going to be in a couple weeks, to Upshur County, where you're working to rebuild your executive committee, from Ohio County down to Mercer County, all over the state. I see all of you, and because of that, I have the inspiration to keep fighting too. We inspire each other. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a great day to be a Democrat, and it always is, and it always will be. And yes, even in deep red West Virginia, where we're going to change things and we're going to build on this momentum. Very quickly, I want to make a couple of comments just as a highlight of what hasn't been made about the DNC. I can tell you, I was there firsthand, and my first time seeing an election, and it was a real election. And there is a complete focus change from swing states only to all states, from metropolitan only or suburban only to rural. And there are swings that are happening in the party, and these things take time, but they will change and benefit West Virginia Democrats. There is light, so to speak. And we were seen, heard, noticed. On a personal note, I represent, as many people know and love, and I'm a member of the IAFF in West Virginia. And because of where our seats were that Mike pointed out, I had the pleasure of meeting in person their general president, Ed Kelly, who was there at the meeting. So Wes, your delegation is working hard for you on a national level. A couple of points about why I think that's important. We're building alliances with other state leaders. So it isn't just the DNC that we're working within that organization to bring resources to West Virginia, but we have new friends and new alliances in Maryland that is strongly Democratic, and they have a lot of resources, and they don't have as many fights as we have. So their Democrats sometimes need somewhere to go or somewhere to look at. Kentucky, Pennsylvania. And so we're building those alliances with the people that are part of the DNC, all future and forward thinking in terms of what your leadership is doing. As to the elections, I really want to comment about the diversity, and not the diversity in terms of Democratic Party obviously does a good job honoring diversity, pure diversity. We think of people, but diversity of thought, diversity of political thought, from David Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta, who are, first of all, very young. All relative, right? Comparatively speaking, but young in politics, and to party stalwarts that many people maybe voted against because they wanted reform. We got it all in the panel of folks that were just elected. And that pleases me, because the thing that I think is most important, we heard it in Ken Martin, our new chair's message, is that we have to unite. And that was the message at the DNC. And by the way, there's a lot of conflict in the DNC, fights between the swing states and the rural states, fights between red and blue, relevant, not relevant. Why does Florida get this or Ohio get that? So you have the same things nationally that we have as a state party. And what I want to say is the most important message that I think we can all take away from this today is that we're one team, that it's one fight, and that we're in this together. So unifying our state party, notwithstanding that we don't all agree on all things, but we agree on the thing that matters, that we're all Democrats, that we stand against Donald Trump and all of the sycophants, all the way down to every state house in America where they reside, in the Senates and the houses and in the governor's mansions and wherever else. And we have to have that unity of purpose. And folks, it's there now. And our opportunity is to reach the people who stayed home. So I will continue to reiterate what I talked about before Trump won, which is win or lose, we're going to be doing the same thing, which is recruiting for midterms. Win or lose, we're going to be organizing for the future. Win or lose, the party has to think about the future. And more importantly, no matter what happens, we as a party have to unify and bring and grow our party and bring people under our tent. When you look at the elections at the DNC level, that's what I see. I see literally party insiders, the kind that you would reform against, maybe, you know what I mean in terms of, I don't mean to unfairly label anybody, stalwarts, you might call them in a respectful way, to newcomers who are looking for reform. And then I saw that call for unity and for us to all come together. The DNC election meeting, to me, all of that excitement is going to filter down to state parties. In conjunction with that, the ASDC, which is just the Association of Chairs, Vice Chairs, and Executive Directors, That organization is literally growing since I've become your first vice chair in power. And the reason it's growing in power is because state parties are growing in power. That's going to benefit West Virginia. While we're small compared to all other states, we're a state. And we can grow in power when state parties grow in power, and that's absolutely happening, as evidenced by the election of Ken Martin, which was because of the votes of state chairs, vice chairs, and other supporters. The election was basically between two state chairs. Not basically, it effectively was. So that is happening. The ASDC with Jane Clabb, the chair, former chair now. I think she moved on from chair of Nebraska because she's the ASDC chair. And she's laid the groundwork for how we operate in red states and how we don't fight with Trump supporters, but build Democrats and bring people off the sidelines, which has to be our focus. And doing that is how we are, I think, going to begin to build again. I'm in the fight. By the way, so let me say, running for office was an incredible privilege. I had the honor of running against Richie Robb, who I see on here. And by the way, we got to know each other and developed a respect for each other. And I had a positive experience running for office, even though I lost. And I'm going to be sharing that. Even though I lost in the general, in both elections, the primary running against Richie Robb and then in the general against our current attorney general. But the key is this, is the recruiting is what we have to do. We have to remember that politics is about winning and losing for candidates, and we have to support them. And I'm going to be part of that effort. And I think I can speak with some credibility because the number one question we have is, why should a Democrat run in West Virginia? And I will say to you that answer that you can tell people is there is never going to be a better time because we have the best recruiting tool. Unfortunately, we didn't want it. We'd rather have other recruiting tools, but the orange menace in the White House is the best recruiting tool for Democrats that can possibly exist. And the fact that the sycophants in Congress are literally going to do everything that he says and not stand in his way, and the harm is going to come. And we have to be there to show people this is who we are. We're going to help. We don't do it though. And you heard me say this before Trump won, and I'm going to keep saying it. We don't do it by arguing with Trump supporters. Now, it's okay. You want to argue with Trump supporters because it makes you feel better. I do it. I engage in that some too. But you're not going to change their mind. They're not going to change your mind. It's the people who stood on the sidelines that we have to get to join our team as Democrats so that we can bring this fight for people and we can continue to rise up. And I'll be part of that. So I really wanted to say I'm inspired. I meant to give a little bit more factual information. Most of it's already been shared with you. I've been talking to folks as your vice chair. I've been very, very busy already fielding speaking engagement opportunities, fundraisers, protests, marches. I literally can't keep up with all of it, and it's glorious. Keep it coming, and everything I can do to support the effort of the growth of this party. And I want to say finally, I really do think it's important that we respect each other's differences within this House. Within this House, meaning our House as Democrats, we have to stick together and have that solidarity of purpose, and then it's okay that we're going to bring diversity of political thought to our party as well, as long as that diversity of political thought benefits people, right? Because we're the party of the people. So I will encourage people to continue to work towards that unity, to continue to find ways to work together. And I'm excited to be part of the growth that I know is coming, that I can see is going to be coming in the West Virginia Democratic Party. Thank you so much. Mike, I appreciate the floor. Chair Pushkin.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Torseva. And real quick, there is an email in the chat from Ryan where the email address is organizing work group, all one word, organizing work group at wvdemocrats.com. And that's for folks who want to be part of the organizing efforts for this event that we'll go ahead and tentatively say for April 5th, which is a Saturday down here in Charleston. That's organizingworkgroup workgroup@wvdemocrats.com. Also, correction. Unfortunately, Congressman Moore is not holding a town hall in Morgantown. That is our Attorney General Jamie McCuskey, who is having his he's been going around the state, but he is holding an event in Morgantown, which we should also have people show up and ask him why he's not involved in the effort from some states to prevent this unconstitutional spending freeze on money that's already been appropriated, and why he is involving us in a lawsuit to end this 504, which is going to hurt children with disabilities as well as a lot of others. So I have a lot of good questions for Attorney General McCuskey, who will be in Morgantown on the 27th.
Chair
And
Pushkin.
Teresa, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want on that point, there was a notice put out by Monongalia County Commissioner Tom Bloom. I saw it on social media about that meeting, and then it was retracted as being only available to elected officials. But Tom Bloom said he would take anybody's questions and see that they were asked or addressed, as to the Attorney General McCuskey meeting. So I just wanted to offer that correction based on what I saw.
McCuskey's meeting is not open to the public?
My understanding it is by invitation only, and you can check County Commissioner Tom Bloom's public page with that notice and posting. Yes, he corrected himself after, because he assumed, of course, that it was open to the public. Commissioner Bloom did. And I know this just from reading those public posts on Facebook where you could verify. But yes, absolutely. It is invitation only for elected officials, but he shared the letter, and it is about the issues that everybody's upset about, and that obviously he's trying to address, but not directly with the public.
Oh, I will say that the meeting might be closed, but the sidewalks outside are always open to the public.
That's a great point.
Kathy, you have your hand up. Kathy?
Yeah, on the when you were talking about a rally or a protest, we have only about 15 people up in Hancock County that are always asking where's the next protest. They're just ready to get out there and carry some signs and get their voices heard. But I am always afraid I see all these messages on Facebook, but I don't always believe everything. So I keep reaching out to everybody that's on the committee just to know, is this for real or not? So if I can just keep asking somebody what they know about protests that are coming up, then I think if we only have a 1-day notice, we could probably get people to where we need to go.
Well, that's why we plan on having more than a 1-day notice, and actually having the point I was trying to make is what's been going on has been largely organic, and that's a good thing. People are ticked off. This is not what they voted for. They're having buyer's remorse. We got federal workers. Well, one issue in particular, we have federal workers across this state are being laid off or their jobs are being threatened by droves. I know Judy posted that 80 people lost their jobs over in Parkersburg. In the Eastern Panhandle, there's probably a lot more than that. And in the I-79 corridor, there's a bunch of federal workers up there as well. These people are losing their jobs. That's just one issue that people are upset. That's not what they ran on. If we were to actually, well, we haven't been involved with any of these, and rightfully so. We don't know who's organizing, and they've largely been unorganized. So we don't know what the message is. We don't know who's going to be there. And it's in that case, the responsible thing to do is not put our name on it, right? But I've shown up at the ones in Charleston. I've shown up as a concerned citizen and as an elected official, and what I saw was a lot of like-minded people who are rightfully upset. So with a little bit of organization and some time, we could actually have an event with a clear message. And in response to some of the worst things that the West Virginia Republican Party is doing and the worst things that the Trump administration is doing, and we can get a large amount of people. If they're getting that many people on a weekday with no organization at all, we can get a lot more on a weekend with some organization behind it.
Thank you.
That's why I brought it up. Jenny?
Yeah, you really kind of brought up all the points that I was thinking of, but one of the things that we can do, like Kathy mentioned, even if it's not a Democratic Party organized event, we can still, as Mike said, if you're able to, and we know ahead of time, get folks there and be organizers and meet people, get their information, talk to people, figure out how we can bring them into the party if they are like-minded, and also help give direction to folks who, they're pissed off or they want to organize and they're there for a reason, maybe a bill that's, West Virginia has running, or just like the President's Day protest. But if we can use, if we're free, we can use our knowledge of the political process, which a lot of folks who are activists might not have. I think about the President's Day protest, how wonderful it would have been if folks that were at the Capitol went inside and like pressured our legislators and got in their offices and met with them and forced them to think about the issues that they were speaking about outside. And that just might be a disconnect that we need to help bridge that gap and show up at these events, even if they're not sort of organized like the one Mike's talking about, organizing through our party, but helping just guide folks, getting their info, talking to them, helping guide them, and letting them know how the political process works and how they can be more effective.
Thank you. I'm gonna keep it moving. Thank you, Jenny. And Ryan, are you first of all, right now we're at the time for treasurer's report. Our treasurer has been on the job now for a little less than an hour, I think. So I think I appreciate you, John. I don't know if you're prepared to do a report yet. I know you're really good at your job, but you just got on it. So I'm going to hand it over to our executive director we'll do a combined treasurer's report and executive director report. If that's okay. Ryan, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Pushkin and everyone for the input. I do want to start off with just one mention about our new DNC chair and his connection to West Virginia. So Ken Martin, who has been the chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farm Labor Party for many years, made an incredibly smart decision in hiring a West Virginia gal. And so his ED, Heidi, is from Central West Virginia, has been in Minnesota for quite a few years, but on my first meeting of the ASDC executive directors meeting, she came right up to me and, welcomed me as a Mountaineer. So we've got a lot of connections there. There's a lot of incredible energy with Chair Martin coming into this, and with Chair Klebe taking over the ASDC. To start my executive director's report, I want to update that we have received, processed, loaded, and released the election data history from the Secretary of State for the general election. With that, Vote Builder access has been reactivated for county users. If you are a previous county user and you're not having access, just send me an email. I'll make sure we get it restored. Speaking to party building, we've had several counties over the past 2 months reach out, individuals who are on counties that may not be as active as we would all hope. And we are supporting them on re-engaging with their voters and getting their committees activated. One in particular that I want to brag about and talk about how the process really works with so many people pitching in is Braxton County. So Braxton County had nobody put their name on the May 2022 primary ballot to become a member of the Braxton County Democratic Executive Committee. Throughout the 2024 campaign cycle, Glenn Elliott, his campaign, which was working hard everywhere, engaged with several folks in Braxton County. We're hosting meetings in Braxton County. They were connected with us through the campaign. Vice Chair Pam Klein started to work with those folks through the campaign work and then through the party work. And I'm pleased to announce that Chair Pushkin was able to appoint a 3-person interim committee in January. They have already hosted their first meeting at the Flatwood Shoney's. They had 30 people show up. There was already interest in raising funds. They are already filling more vacancies this week due to that meeting. and they've set regular meeting dates, which are already on our calendar. So there is enthusiasm everywhere. Every county has Democrats that want to be active, and we're going to be coordinating with our County Chairs Association and the counties to make sure that we are putting people that come through our various communications in contact with the counties. We've already discussed once, but I'll go over it again. Our intention is to professionalize this organization, and one way is that we announce meeting dates so that we can all prepare our calendars. We had this one was a 30-day meeting notice due to the fact that we were electing an officer. Typically, we only are required to provide a 15-day meeting notice if there's not an officer or a bylaw change. Our next meeting will be tentatively scheduled for April 26th. That is a Saturday. All meetings will be on a Saturday. The summer meeting, again, will be a Zoom-only meeting, June 28th. And then we plan to have a meeting October 4th in Charleston. And there's a good chance that that might coincide with an arcade dinner. In addition to planning meetings, I have discussed with Treasurer Doyle a schedule for audit committee meetings, and we are tentatively scheduling them for 5:30 p.m. on Mondays. One will be on Monday, April 14th, and then they will be the second Monday of the first quarter, so June 9th, September 8th, and December 8th. So these will all be posted on the party website. Additionally, with communications, as Chair Pushkin mentioned, we are trying to communicate everywhere we can. We are posting, of course, on all the major social medias. We are big on Facebook, big on X, Twitter. We are on Blue Sky, and to be honest, trying to get into that. One of the difficulties with Blue Sky is that the majority of West Virginia media is not on Blue Sky. So it makes sharing posts and responding to things a little bit differently. You'll also notice that there's a different type of engagement between Facebook and Twitter. Facebook posts are for one, reaching a broader audience. We know for a fact that more West Virginians are on Facebook than any of those other social media sites, particularly more likely voter types are on Facebook right now. Twitter and Blue Sky are more of an activist community, people who are a little bit more engaged. There is, in my opinion, more direct information shared on those, particularly on Twitter, as far as the legislative process. The legislature does a good job of providing updates via Twitter to their daily sessions, to their bills introduced, things of that nature. So it's a quick reference place. And additionally, we have finally dipped our toe into the TikToks. I was very hesitant to be involved in TikTok due to the various concerns. I still hold those concerns, but I do appreciate the impact that many of those videos have had and will have, and I appreciate our own elected leaders who are sharing information through TikTok videos. One thing that we're trying to do is make sure that when something gets posted to one platform, that it's at least getting cross-posted, but also natively posted so that we get more views. To Chair Pushkin's point, if you go search the West Virginia Republican Party on pretty much any of those platforms right now, they don't even know that there's a session going on. They're not updating their membership, or they're not updating the public. They're not putting out positions. Partly, I think, because they are in conflict internally, and that's a good place for us to be. And we will continue to call it out. Our press releases get picked up nearly immediately, and of course, those get posted on our website as well. If you have posts from a county is posting or a good post, please tag the West Virginia Democratic Party so that we have more visibility and we can reshare those things. It's very helpful. Two, we currently still have, in addition to the vacancies that were not filled today, we have a vacancy opened up on the AAC/CDUC at-large position. Marge Midget has moved out of state, and so we're grateful for her service and her time helping build this party. but she has resigned. So that position will be determined by the AAC/CDUC, and they are planning to have a meeting in March. The Young Dems, we've had a great amount of interest in Young Democrats reorganizing. We have an organizational meeting coming up in March, and our goal is to have the Young Democrats rechartered with the Young Democrats of America this summer. That is going to happen. And additionally, we have a vacancy on the State Executive Committee with Senate District 13 female. The position must be filled by a person from Monongalia County, as Senate District 13 is only 2 counties, and our bylaws state that only 2 people from 1 county can serve. So we have 2 people serving from Marion, 1 currently from Mon, so it needs to be a female or non-binary person. That will be announced, of course, ahead of the April meeting for filling. Moving on to financial reports, I do want to share that we have a permanent link on our website for finding our financial reports. And real quickly, I'll post it here in the comments. You can quickly go there and it will take you to either one of the state reports or the federal reports, and you can see details there. But to go into details, so the current balance for the West Virginia Democratic Party total cash on hand is at this moment $97,436.95. That is from 2 accounts. The West Virginia Democratic Party has 2 accounts. One is a federal account, which is what you see reported on the FEC reports. One is a non-federal account, which is what you see reported on the Secretary of State Campaign Finance Reporting System. Our ID number at the Secretary of State Campaign Finance Reporting System is 1896. Our FEC ID number is C00162578. We have $45,951 in our federal account and $51,485.95 in our non-federal account. To break down our receipts and disbursements, in December, we had total receipts of $24,533.78. 21,000 of that came from the DNC or affiliated DNC entities. 3,533.78 came from individuals. We had $24,944.54 in disbursements. 8,000 of that were in dues, consultants, contracts, etc. 14,841.17 were in operating and staff expenses. $2,072.12 for travel, particularly to the ASDC conference. January, we had $18,214 and 3 cents in receipts. 30 cents in receipts. $16,954.87 were from the DNC or DNC related entities. $1,259.43 were from individuals. We had $14,382 in disbursements. $6,243.33 in personnel and taxes. $986.42 in travel. $2,333 in operations, and $4,818 in consulting contracts and dues. And currently in February, with 1 week left to go, we have $20,700.26 in receipts. $19,221.33 came from the DNC or related entities. $1,478.93 came from individuals. We've had $28,933.60 in disbursements. 16,245 of that is consulting contracts and dues. Part of that was because we were catching up on some debts that we had reported on the FEC. So we are debt free on that part. We had a total of $10,541.51 in ops and personnel, and we had $2,147 $2,147.09 in travel, primarily related to the DNC meeting in February. I also want to specifically shout out 11 committee members that we have identified as ongoing monthly contributors in the months of December, January, and February. So a big thank you to Bob Baker, Ben Barkey, Diane Browning, Pam Klein, Jenny Craig, Amanda Estep Burton, Joey Garcia, Deb McCarthy, Matt Spurlock, Rachel Tompkins, and Selena Vickers. Really appreciate your support. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now or offline.
Thank you, Ryan. I see. But first, before I call anybody, I just wanted to say I want to specifically thank those names you just mentioned of the donors from this executive committee. And if you didn't hear your name on that list, get your name on that list. Barb Scott, you have your hand up?
Yes, 2 points. That's Marlene Midget, not Marge Midget.
Oh, yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yes, because Marlene has given years of dedicated service to the Democrat Party locally and state and with the Federation of Democratic Women. And we'd like to thank her also. I'm sure our president, Pam Van Horn, would have something to say, but I would ask that you all are following the Federation of Democratic Women on social media, as Ryan was referring to, sharing information. We've been hitting the issues, and the party has been sharing some of our information on Twitter. But we would ask that you follow. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. So if you would follow, we try to stay up with the legislative issues, the bills. We've been trying to follow what our leadership in the House and Senate are trying to do to thwart this assault on West Virginians. But it's hard to do, but we appreciate everything that the Democrats in the legislature are doing. And may I also say, Cal, the county chair, leadership has led us in, we're sponsoring a luncheon on the first Thursdays. Maybe Cal would like to speak to that, what we're doing to show our support for our Democratic legislators. But I'll let it go at that. But as for the financial report, it would be helpful if we got that in writing. I mean, we appreciate that Ryan was trying to read that in the meeting, but that's hard for everybody to take down. If we could receive that in an email, that would be very helpful in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan, was that going out in an email?
It is not planned to, because we do post the reports. And if you actually go to the FEC page, it breaks it into those general same exact disbursements and things like that.
Thank you. Mac? Mac Halterman, you have your hand up? Okay, Mac disappeared. Wait for him to get back on. And Barb, thanks again. I appreciate what the Federation is doing. We do try to amplify that message. The social media presence of the Federation as well. And of course, we all have the same goals here. Two different organizations with the same goals, and we continue to work together. And that's a good cue for Federation President Pam Van Horn, who has her hand up. Pam?
Thank you, Chair Pushkin. I appreciate that. I wanted to just give you guys a brief update of what the Federation has been up to. Many of you came, we celebrated our 60th anniversary last year, and we had a big celebration at our annual meeting here in Charleston when Jane Cleve was with us, as Mike has referred to there. And we had a great meeting, almost double what we had at our last meeting. So we did some training with the help of Sam and Teresa, and we sent our members back home to do work, and they did it. Our clubs did thousands of postcards, thousands of calls, well, maybe not thousands of door knocks, but a lot of door knocks. In addition, from our PAC, we have our own political committee in the Federation. We spent $22,000 on GOTV activities. And in addition, Kanawha County paid for their part of that, and Greenbrier County paid for their part of that. So we were able to make our money go a lot further. But we presented checks from our PAC, the Federation PAC, to all of our female candidates. We did 3 statewide texts to people who need to be getting out to vote. We did more than $10,000 in digital advertising. So we were, we put our money where our mouth was to try to do, and we've done that. We did that in partnership with the Senate Campaign Committee in 22. And so we carried that on ourselves in 24. So we are very active from our political committee perspective, in addition to our clubs. We've had a lot of interest from women across the state who hopefully will have some new clubs coming online soon. So we're pretty excited about that. And I just want to say thank you to Barb Scott, who leads our social media efforts. If you're not following us, please do. Take our stuff, use it in your, however, just download our pictures or our graphics, take it and use it in any way you see fit. And thank you to everyone who's amplifying it. Our next annual meeting will be September 19th through the 21st in Morgantown at the Holiday Inn. So we'd love to see a lot of folks there, and you'll get more information from me about that. So thank you for letting me make an update, Chair.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Seems like I appreciate that, President Van Horn. I appreciate all the work that y'all are doing. Any way we can help or amplify your message, of course, we're all in. I did skip over the second vice chair's report, and I apologize for that. Sam, you have the floor.
Hey, I had covered a lot of ground before. I just wanted to follow up on the ways that people can plug into the strategic planning. First of all, I've got the message here from the DNC. I'm just going to hold that up while I speak. But in the comments to this meeting, their email addresses are there. Please email comms work group if you want to be involved in the communications work. The House Caucus is doing a lot of great work. We've developed some customs, but we need people to be engaged so that you are working with your county committees to make sure they are doing the internal and external communications work. Comms work group at WVDemocrats.com. You can also join the fundraising work group because some people have been interested in fundraising. The way to do that, the way to get more involved in that, is fundraising work group at WVDemocrats.com. And then Mike also already read the organizing work group at WVDemocrats.com. Please, Cindy just asked, what is the work group for comms? It's COMMS work group at WVDemocrats.com. These should all be in the comments. If you go to the chat section here, you should see those email addresses, and they're also in the email that I sent out, and I'll resend the strategic planning working group email from January 23rd, but I'll recirculate that same email. You can email those groups. I really want people to be in dialogue, okay? Think about what you want the strategic planning process to address. And we've already seen quite a number of county executive committees or Senate districts conduct their own local strategic planning meetings. We just did a great one here in Fayette County. It was facilitated by a tremendous facilitator. And those local strategic planning efforts really help us at a state level because we can add together the insights that you all generate and we'll put them into this plan. But please sign up. We have probably 15 people in this comms work group. We got probably 30 or 40 in the candidate work group. We've got almost nobody who participates in the fundraising working group other than the officers. And we really want, and need that engagement. so that people understand what the party is doing and feel comfortable becoming a sustaining donor in support of it. So please sign up for those work groups and share this message. We're blocking the billionaires. We're not feeling defeated. Don't let anybody tell you that we're powerless as a Democratic Party in West Virginia. We know otherwise. We've been spending 2 hours this morning talking about all the powerful things we have done, will be doing to build a more compassionate society, based on the rule of law and blocking these billionaires. So keep sharing that message. Please sign up for those work groups. I look forward to a robust discussion in the next executive committee meeting so that we can reduce this plan to paper and have a good strategy heading into the next elections. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Also, yeah, once again, look for Sam's emails. That's where you can find the different party emails to sign up, especially if you want to be in on organizing this proposed event tentatively scheduled for April 5th down here in Charleston. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't once again bring up the devastation that's happened down in southern West Virginia, down in Mingo and McDowell. And we have put out a couple of calls to contribute to the West Virginia United Methodist Church that was they were one of the first groups on the ground down there, but also shout out to Zach Shrewsbury and Blue Jay Rising. They've done tremendous work down there as well. And I know I've personally sent some money to that organization. They're doing a good job. I would highly urge us to support Zach and his efforts down in southern West Virginia. He's doing a very good job down there. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay, I appreciate everybody's time. We went. Pam has her hand up. Go ahead, Pam. Pam Klein.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank Ryan for bringing up Braxton County. Marty Wine is watching the call today. They've done a great job getting their committee off the ground. It has also led us to Gilmer County, which has a couple of people that came to Braxton County's meeting. They did have a good crowd the other night. So that's another one that's going to come online. I did want to say that Nicholas County has initiated a program right now for our public schools to try to get a lot of people involved. It's probably going to be a little bipartisan because we can't really, we got to depend on everybody here. We got to get the independents over to make calls to these legislators for what they're doing with our public school system right now. And we're going to put out some signs. So if anybody's interested, I'll put that out to by an email so you can see that. It's just going to be an initiative to get people to start making phone calls to our what we call representatives, certainly not you guys, but we need to get people calling those up. We've been sharing those with pictures of of each of our senators and delegates. We are doing a big social media push right now, and some of ours have had some of the most. I mean, lately it's been very responsive, more responsive than I've ever seen it. So I just wanted to push on everybody to pay attention to what's being shared on social media from the party, from the women's group, and just push those out. Jenny Craig's been doing some great videos for public education, but we just need to really push hard on this legislative session. So thank you, guys.
Thanks. I'll just add to that. Also puts out the videos and stuff coming from the House caucus and the Senate caucus. The posts and videos that are coming from individual members and the West Virginia House Democrats have been way more active on social media as well. Let's share those as well. Cal?
Yes, thank you, Chair Pushkin. I just wanted to make one brief announcement that Barb Scott alluded to. The Mon Dems have organized Thursday lunches at the Capitol for our 9 House of Delegates members and 2 state senators. These happen in the House Minority Office. I really want to thank the committees. We have different county committees from around the state who have each volunteered to take one of the weeks between now and the end of session. And so if you are in the Charleston area, please, feel free to join our House caucus for lunch. And also a huge thank you to all the committees providing the lunches each week. So.
Thank you very much, Chair Carlson. Anything else for the good of the order? I can just say that I know what we're up against, but it feels really good to be on the right side of history and to be on that right side of history with everybody on this call and the Democrats across this state. We've got to continue to fight what's going on in this country and what's going on in this state and show people that we're willing to fight for them, whether they're public school teachers or public employees who are at risk of losing their health care right now, whether it's parents who are concerned about their children going into public schools where there's no longer going to be vaccine requirements, whether it's federal employees across the thousands of federal employees in West Virginia who are losing their jobs or about to lose their jobs. We got to show people that we are the party that fights for them, because we are, and we're going to keep fighting for them. And I can't say it enough. They're going to hand the ball back to us. Let's fill the ballots. Right now, what we could all be doing is identifying great candidates. We need to get people to run for office, because this pendulum's swinging back, folks. So let's get folks on the ballot. If it swings back and nobody's on the ballot, we're screwed. Let's get candidates to run for office. So I look forward to working with you all on this event. It's likely to take place in April. We'll get candidates on the ballot. I see John Doyle has his hand up. John, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. I was hesitating about saying this. Teresa, a little bit ago, mentioned something called an orange menace. It triggered in my mind. I'm a Vietnam veteran. There was a menace in Vietnam called Agent Orange, which was intended to be a menace to our enemies, but ended up being a menace not only to them, but to the wildlife and to the country, and to tens of thousands of American soldiers who died painful deaths because of Agent Orange. Maybe we should think about using that term for the current occupant of the White House.
Well, if the shade fits, I'll wear. Thank you, John. Real quick, I'll say Bob mentioned we should bring up this 5 calls app. I'm not exactly sure what that. I imagine it's an app that helps you call your congressional representatives. So check out the 5 calls app and keep those calls coming. Also, Sam pointed out that April 5th, our tentative date for an event at the Capitol, is also the anniversary of our big branch. I think that's also meaningful, since we are the party that stands for working people. And there's the link for the 5 calls app, 5calls.org. Is there anything else for the good of the order? We've gone 11 minutes over our allotted time, but I think we got a lot of work in today and had a very productive meeting. And said nobody I would rather be in the foxhole with than y'all. So I really appreciate everybody. At that point, no hands are up. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Chair.
All right, Vice Chair Teresa Torseva, move to adjourn. Gabe, you have your hand up. Are you going to second that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Those who oppose will stay on the line. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah.